Well, welcome everyone once again to another powerful episode of Healing in Color. We are not alone, brought to you by Black Mental Matters, where we honor diverse voices, cultural wisdom, and the global journey to mental wellness, especially for the Black community and communities of color around the world. My name is Vince the Voice, your host, and today joined by a woman whose life is proof that it's never too late to start all over again. A good friend of mine, Dr. Deborah Pilzer. She walked away from a 27-year corporate recruiting career to become a licensed counselor and relationship therapist, helping people rediscover their voice, their worth, and their connection, both with themselves and with others. Dr. Pilzer works with individuals overcoming trauma from their upbringing, including abuse and codependency, as well as with people recovering from domestic violence. For couples, she's a specialist in affair recovery, intimacy issues, and communication. She even provides discernment counseling, which is helping couples determine whether to reconcile or part ways. On top of all that, she mentors graduate-level therapists working towards licensure. And I tell you what, she's a friend. We met in the world of ballroom dancing, and I could tell right away that we just hit it off, and it's just great. This conversation won't be just about therapy. It's about healing from the inside out. So let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, there she is, Dr. Deborah Pilzer. How are you?
I'm good, Vince. It's so good to see you.
It's so good.
See, even in two different states, we can be together.
Hey, that's how it works. It's all good. It's all good. Again, we met in the world of ballroom dancing, and on our little breaks, we got to talking and learned that both of us had this passion for mental health, and you so much so that you recently got your a doctorate degree, but you had a whole nother career before taking up being a therapist. Take us back for a minute. What led you to make such a bold change in your 40s?
Oh, yeah, it was in my 40s. I was a project manager recruiter for Fortune 50 companies for a long time. Being in project work, I would work for a period of time, sometimes years, sometimes months, for these companies and help them revamp their hiring processes. But every time the economy took a dive, I would get laid off or I couldn't find work. And so when I got divorced, I realized as a single mom with a teenager at home that I couldn't sustain that financially, and be good to my daughter, with you never know when you're going to lose your job kind of thing. And so I decided to go back to school. My aunt, who recently passed away, also late in life, went back to school and became a psychologist. And so in speaking with her, she said it was a transferable skill because I would help people find jobs. And so I looked into it, and I always very much admired my aunt a lot. And I decided to, with her encouragement, go back and get my master's degree at the age of 45.
And I'm so glad that you did, because now you're helping even more folks with your practice. I think when we first started talking with each other, it was around some HR issues or something like that.
I think so.
Our conversation. So, being in that corporate world for so long, what did you carry, you think, from the corporate world into your work as a therapist today?
Well, in my work as a therapist, it was people skills. A lot of times I went into companies when they were doing mass layoffs and like helping people talk through that. So it was really listening, helping people revamp their resumes to get the job that I was submitting them for, or if they weren't qualified for a job, I really took the extra time to help them find the right job for them, whether it was in my company or a different company. And so a lot of those things were transferable, and just empathy, listening, helping, and that sort of thing.
Very good. Very good. So most of your work, your practice, and it's called again, what's the name of your practice?
I2I Counseling Center.
That's right.
It's been open 3 years. So
3 years now. Well, most of your work centers around relationships. What do you see as the biggest barrier, Dr. Deb, to connection, whether with others or with ourselves?
I think putting yourself in other people's shoes. People love to be right. I call it right fighting. And we love to be right. And sometimes we're not always right. Sometimes we have to concede or be partially right. And I think that as a society, as in how people are raised, like what they observe their parents doing, it all plays into it. And so really learning to listen. The first thing that I do with couples when I see couples is to get them to just listen to each other with a script that I give them to follow. And I tell them, you don't want to get caught in Assumption Junction because that's a really bad neighborhood, and so, assuming and just simply not listening to what somebody is telling them is their story and not being curious about what their feelings are about what their world is around the problem or any, everybody's just wants to fix. You want to fix right away. And fixing doesn't create connection. It's actually listening and understanding and showing consideration and being inquisitive. That's what creates connection.
Wow, when you were starting this out, talking about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, that word empathy means so much to me. That saying again, trauma hurts, empathy heals. I think you can agree with that. Huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, my upbringing was dicey. I felt invisible a lot of the time and felt unheard a lot of the time. So I actually went to therapy while I was in graduate school to overcome a bad breakup. But I learned a lot about how my upbringing created patterns that I kept repeating in relationships and felt very not considered and unheard. And so it affected my own relationships with people. And I always make it a point, even in conversations with friends, with my daughters, with whoever, how are you? I don't make it all about me.
When you help individuals overcome that childhood trauma, abuse, codependency, what does healing that inner child really look like?
Well, the inner child is always yelling and jumping up and down and screaming. And fear is a big protector to that inner child, and that's the shutdown. I'm afraid, so I'm going to shut down. And the healing part is actually comforting the inner child. The wise adult, as Terry Real would say, takes over and comforts that inner child and keeps as Terry Real says, the adaptive child from taking over and throwing a tantrum as an adult.
Okay, very good. One of your specialties also domestic violence, and that is such a major issue today. What are some of the steps or tools that you offer, doctor, that supports safety and self-trust when we're talking about domestic violence?
Well, creating a safety plan is number one. In my practice, we don't see people in person if they are still involved and living with the abuser, because that could put my staff at risk. It could put me at risk. So we do telehealth sessions, but always making sure that they're in privacy. If they've already left their abuser, we will have them come in. We do have them sign paperwork stating that, they can't disclose where these sessions are being held for their own protection, and just creating a sense of safety here that they can actually be here, talk to the therapist, because I have two people that work for me about what has happened to them. And we really dive into those family of origin patterns to figure out where being in an abusive relationship was normalized for that client.
I recently had a podcast episode with an old friend of mine. I mean, we grew up together, and her specialty now is narcissistic abuse and narcissism and things like that. And it's amazing how, the two of those go together, domestic violence, and how prevalent it is today.
Yeah. And I'm a survivor of domestic violence myself. So it really is a passion for me, because years ago, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and there were no resources. Like, I was living in terror every single day. And it was a very nice woman who recognized what was happening in my house that pulled me aside and said, I can help you, because I just didn't know what to do. And literally, my daughter was 2, I think, and she helped me leave in the middle of the night with the baby and what I could fit in the car.
Does it, as a therapist and someone who helps those in that area, I can't say does it help, having that lived experience, does that help you when you're working with clients who are dealing with the same issue?
Absolutely. I have no problem self-disclosing that I'm a survivor. And I think that it allows the client to relax and go, oh, okay, she really understands what I'm going through. I mean, as a therapist, we don't self-disclose unless it's clinically appropriate. But in that sort of circumstance, it's definitely clinically appropriate to do that.
Yes, yes. You specialize on the flip side, or I can't say the flip side, but also in affair recovery and then the intimacy issues and communication. What's one thing that couples you think get wrong and one thing that they can get right as it relates to those?
I think really, like I said in the beginning, listening to each other's worldview, like their experience in the relationship. When it comes to affair work, that's very complicated. If people try to stay together because there's the betrayed partner who's traumatized, there's the involved partner that feels guilty, and then we have to keep the affair partner and their name out of the session and out of the room. So it's a dance. It's a really difficult dance to do. When it comes to intimacy and communication, they go hand in hand. I recently, well, for my doctorate, I created a couples retreat, and it's a 2-day retreat, and it combines ballroom dancing, specifically rumba and tango, the romantic dances, and communication tools for couples that are struggling with intimacy over a 2.5-day weekend fun retreat. And it's to get people touching in a fun way, but it's also getting them to communicate in ways that using their I statements, using active listening about the experience of touching each other in these dance lessons. And we're actually going to be doing this retreat in February of next year. So yeah, and if any of your viewers or listeners want more information on that, they can certainly reach out to me.
That's right. We'll give them the contact information before this is all over with. That's beautiful. I mean, on the dance floor, like what do you say, rumba and the
The
which
tango?
and the tango. Yeah, there's a lot of touching there.
I
A lot
know.
and that,
I know. I always love how you announce the Roomba at the
yes,
competitions
yeah,
too. That's a little more of a complicated dance though.
yeah.
To
But
do
it's
at a couples
amazing
retreat.
how it
Yeah.
can be used in this world of therapy and
Mhm.
healing. And I mean, it has so many for cognitive for those dealing with Alzheimer's. I've
Mhm.
read, remembering the steps and
Mhm.
just talking and touching with others is so powerful.
Yeah, as
Uh,
part of my research, I did a lot of research on the benefits of dance and movement therapy. Couples, like there was literally no research that linked couples to benefits of intimacy in partner dance. And that's where I came up with this retreat idea as a new and innovative tool that marriage and family therapists can use.
Very good, very good. Well, discernment counseling.
Mhm.
Discernment, that sounds like a very powerful tool there. How does it help couples who are on the fence about, it looks like maybe divorce, huh?
It's a very short process, usually 8 to 10 sessions, where you really hone in on the reasons for the divorce. You also hone in on what made them fall in love and meet and their memories, and to see if they're ready for divorce. I get a lot of referrals from a divorce attorney and a mediator in my area of practice when they're on the fence of whether or not the couple that's coming to see them or the client that's coming to see them is ready for divorce, and they'll have them come see me to go through the discernment process to see. And many times couples that do discernment counseling don't end up getting divorced.
Very good, very good. So you're helping keeping them together. That's what that's
Yeah.
all about. Yeah,
Yeah.
helping to keep them together. But then, how do you? I mean, what are the circumstances? I guess that would say, listen, this isn't going to work because I'm an old Catholics, guy. And it's like, no, we're going to be together forever, and
Mhm.
that's just how you were raised, and that was just the just the norm. Um, how do you handle that when you, as the therapist, says, this is not, you guys shouldn't be together?
I would say when they're really not living their best life individually and relationally, and they're just truly living an unhappy life. Nobody deserves to live an unhappy life and stay together for the kids, or stay together because our finances are commingled. And I actually will do something called conscious uncoupling to help clients and couples split up in a mindful, healthy way so that there's not a lot of animosity, especially if they have children that are still living at home. I get a lot of times couples, well, we're staying together because of the kids. And I'm like, that you shouldn't stay together because of the kids, because the kids are learning how to have a bad relationship from you. And they're going to repeat exactly what they're seeing you do with their future partners if they have them.
Wow. Wow. Good stuff. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Okay. So this is again, Black Mental Matters and Healing in Color. I asked you, your roots come from Hungary, right? Hungary
Yeah.
and would you say Poland
Poland and Czechoslovakia.
and
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia, which we all kind of deal with the issue of mental health a little bit differently. What would you say in that those ethnicities, Hungarian, is it a stigma there when it comes to mental health?
I would say with all of those ethnicities, it is. I think that when my aunt became a psychologist, my grandmother was kind of like, "What are you doing?" And I was very supported by my aunt and my family to become who I am now. My journey, my personal journey, has taken a lot of twists and turns and everything. But growing up, like you didn't talk about it. Nobody went to therapy. I remember as a little kid, my mom had some sort of nervous breakdown. I recall her going away for a little while and then coming back. I
Mhm.
think she went to Penn in the psych ward for a bit. But nobody really talked about it. My mom just went away for a little while and then she came back, you know.
So there, that stigma across the board. I know for a fact that there's still a heavy stigma around therapy, especially for African American
Oh
men.
yeah.
Oh my goodness! What do you say to my brothers out there who are hesitant to get help?
I would say get over yourself. We do see a great deal of ethnic clients here. I have a rainbow staff, LGBT, African American, Caucasian, and we can help anybody. We do have a few African American men that come see us by themselves or with their wives. It is usually the wife dragging the guy in, which that happens in any race. Let's just be real here. It's usually one partner saying we need to go or you need to go, and they're not going to go, so they make it couples counseling. But I would say, for your brothers out there, look, if you're struggling, if you are just really not living your best life, it is really good to go talk to a third party that isn't in your life that can help you see things that you can't necessarily see. There's a lot of trauma in all of our ethnic communities, in all of our ethnic populations. I know there was in mine. I know there was in yours, and so we all come from somewhere. And whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're LGBT, whether you're blue, whether you're autistic, neurodivergent, whatever, like we all could really use a third party to help us overcome what's keeping us from living just our best life,
Mm.
In my own therapeutic journey, I feel like now I'm living my best life. And I don't think I could live the life that I'm living. And I still have my issues. I still see a therapist every 2 weeks and have for years to check myself. But I wouldn't be living my best life if I didn't get that help myself. And I wouldn't be able to be a therapist or probably even do ballroom dancing competitively if I didn't deal with my own crap.
Mm. I always think that therapy, and I find it to be true, therapists probably need therapy more than anyone. It's like the folks that are out there on the front line, people are constantly bringing you, dumping on you, or if you're on the
Yeah.
front lines of civil rights or things like that, you're constantly fighting, constantly fighting. You need more support than anybody as
Yeah.
you try to help others.
The pandemic was really hard. It was really rough on me personally, and it was really rough on a lot of my colleagues because telehealth wasn't a thing until the pandemic. And I had a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. I was by myself day in and day out. I had no dancing, no dance lessons, except they did start doing them on Zoom, but it wasn't the same. And it was just, there were no outlets. And so I actually had increased my own personal therapy to twice a week during the first 6 months of the lockdown situation during the pandemic.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Do you tailor, Dr. Deb, your approach based on cultural values, especially when working with couples or individuals from, people of color, marginalized backgrounds?
I do. And I also locate myself with them. And what I mean by that is I bring into the room the fact that I'm not African American. I'm not LGBT. And I don't know your world. I only know from friends I have, from family members, from people I know, and experiences and things that I've read about. So I always say to those clients, if I ever say anything that is not landing right with you, because I'm not you, I don't know your world, I want you to tell me in real time, because that will help educate me. And I do that always in the first session if I have a culturally diverse or LGBT client or a neurodiverse client. I do have a neurodiverse child that's not neurotypical, and that helps with that. And also, my daughter is also half Asian. So I do have, some lived experience of racism, because I remember when she was a little girl, a mother took her daughter out of the sandbox, and I said, well, did my daughter hurt your kid? And the little girl said, I can't play with her because she's Black. And Shauna would get very, very dark in the summer, and she looked African American when she was little. And my daughter very innocently looked at her skin and said, I'm brown. And it was just like, so we've had these experiences with, racism and, all of those things. And when she was in school and stuff like that. So, but I always locate myself with a client that is not the same as me.
Well, that's very encouraging to hear. One of the missions we have with Black Mental Matters, is to expose this craft, this career as therapists, so that we can get more people of color, more culturally competent therapists, because it's very important. If you don't understand me, it's no way you can really help me.
Right, exactly. I taught cultural competency at the master's level when I was getting my doctorate. I was a teaching assistant, and it was a really interesting experience for me. I had a lot of African American students, and they would challenge me, because I was not them. And I said, I know I'm not you, but when you get into this field, you still have to be open to people like me. So it was almost like reverse,
Yeah. Very good. Very good. How can we start shifting the mindset, Doc, in our families and communities, that therapy, getting help, isn't a weakness, that it's actually wisdom? How can we do that?
I think it's starting the conversation, just putting it out there, like being honest, saying, hey, if you know somebody that is obviously in some sort of pain or their relationship is in trouble, advocating them going to see a therapist, finding out what their resistance is and helping them work through their own resistance. If you love and you care about them, if it's somebody that matters to you, helping them find the right person, helping them reach out to somebody like me, even another state, even to help them find another person. Because a good therapist, if somebody calls saying, I don't take insurance except for Aetna. So if somebody calls me and they have, like, say, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they can't afford me out of pocket, I do what I can for them to find them somebody. I know a lot of people that do a lot of things. And I think as therapists, even, we need to take that extra step. And a lot of, some therapists, they don't. I think they should. Most therapists that I know do, but we have to have ongoing conversations like the one that we're having today, but also in our communities, like with
Yes.
people that we care about, just showing up.
Yes. 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 An idea that just blew me away from one of my guests was that just like with your insurance, that you have the physical is a part of your plan each year of physical, that there should also be included a mental health checkup
Oh, I love that.
as part. Don't you like that idea?
I love that idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to advocate for that and get that up to Capitol Hill real soon. I think
Yeah.
that would do a lot to help us out here. You mentor grad students, right?
I do. I
And
have interns that work for me. I also a clinical supervisor, they call it an approved clinical supervisor through the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapy, which was a 18-month process, and usually they only give that designation to LMFTs, which is a licensed marriage and family therapist. I was the first LPC that they let go through that
wow.
program.
Well,
Um,
congratulations, congratulations. Well,
and
I,
so
I want to ask you: do you see any gaps in how we're preparing this next generation of healers?
I do. I've had, since I opened this business, 5 interns and only 3, no, 6 interns, and only 3 of them made it through their internships with me. The other 3 I had to let go because they were right fighting. They were too busy like wanting to be right. And it's like, all right, but you're learning. Like, you aren't right. I'm teaching you how to work with this client. I'm teaching you why you should be on time, and not running in here 5 minutes before your session. I'm teaching you how to be open, because if we're not open, how can we be open to feedback from our clients, right? I pay someone to this day for clinical supervision. Every other week, I meet with Dr. Wendy in New York, and she helps me with my cases. She helps me with my supervision, like if I'm struggling with a supervisee, a mentee. And I'm very selective on who I bring in here because they're still seeing clients. It's still, eye to eye counseling out there, but I want people who are really open to learn. And I do find that sometimes is a barrier. And then you kind of look at, okay, how were they raised? Because they're a right fighter, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I had one girl in here who was very defensive all the time, and she actually told me that she didn't like hierarchies, and I pull owner, and I'm like, when have you ever heard me pull owner? But if you really want to talk about it, is my name on the door. I am the owner, but I don't say I am, like, I don't know where this is coming from. This I don't like hierarchies thing. You're an intern.
Well, it sounds like the interns and the mentees that you have are in good hands.
Yeah, and they do internship to hire. So if they do a really good job, they leave their internship with a job.
Okay. Well, folks that have listened to this, they know now that you have the dance retreat, you have a great practice, and now they want to contact you. How do they find Dr. Debbie Pilzer?
Well, my email, it's Debbie at the number 2 iCounselingCenter.com. Your eyes, not I,
EYE.
EYE. Our website is www.i2iCounselingCenter.com. I'm also on Psychology Today by my name, and they can reach out to ask me anything.
And you're located, I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. You're located in?
I'm in New Jersey, and we are right outside of Philadelphia. I literally live 15 minutes away from Center City, Philly. So,
wow. So lots of folks can use some help there. We can use it down south. And now with technology, just like this podcast, this interview, we can reach each other. It's not that hard, but
no, it's not. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
That's right. You will.
Like, for real.
Well, Dr. Debbie Pilzer, I want to thank you so much for your passion, for your wisdom, your presence. You've shown us that healing is a lifelong dance, Debbie, and every step counts, even the missteps. And to our listeners, if you've been hurt by your past or unsure in your relationship or afraid to ask for help, this episode is a reminder that healing is possible and help is out there. Especially to our brothers, again, you heard Dr. Debbie. Therapy doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. We ask you to stay connected with us at blackmentalmatters.com. Subscribe to Healing in Color wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and stay in color. We'll see you.